Tēnā koutou katoa, kia koutou te whānau, o te kura Woodford House, nō mai, haere mai. Welcome to you all this morning, distinguished guests, board members, members of the Parents Association, Woodford House Old Girls Association, trustees of the foundation, staff, parents, girls, our whole Woodford House community, welcome. This morning we gather for our 124th annual Woodford House Prize Giving to celebrate a year of diligence, dedication and achievement by not only our students but by our staff. We still return to these rituals and collective traditions that unite us as an enduring community, and your presence here today represents an act of connection and affirmation of that community and of this very special institution. In a few short weeks, we will publicly celebrate an historic moment in the history of Woodford House as we commemorate our 125th anniversary. What a significant milestone, not only in our school history, but in the narrative of what it means to be educated. The alarmists tell us in this age of disruption that the very idea of education is at risk, and institutions like our school will eventually become obsolete and defunct. We will eventually be unbundled and disrupted by innovations that enable students to teach themselves while selecting from a degustation of open online learning platforms. How are we positioned, and should we be concerned? The only way we can answer this question is by discussing what actually are the determinants of a good education. Is it the mechanism that most efficiently shovels facts and content into a developing brain, as if uploading software onto an operating system? Or is it one that above all recognises the individual as sacred and unique, requiring personal attention to nurture a love of learning that goes well beyond the hours spent in the classroom? We deeply believe in the latter. And given the incredible trust you have ensured to us as parents and students, it is our goal to deliver on that every single day. But this goes much further than what makes a good education. Ultimately, we educate ourselves to become better citizens, daughters, parents, leaders, and ultimately to help us live the good life. If I asked each of you what living the good life meant, what would you say? Undoubtedly, each of you would give me a different answer based on your passions, experiences, hopes, and fears. There is no correct answer to that question, and isn't that one of the most beautiful things about the human condition? Although we are all connected by certain physical realities, we each have the ability to uniquely define what we want and treasure in this world. And I think that all of us here today are especially connected by something we each treasure and value greatly: education. The question of a good life is not a new one. Plato spent his entire life trying to answer that very question, and the fact that we still regard him as one of the most important Western philosophers today should tell us that he articulated a universal truth. To him, the soul was sacred and made up of three parts. We have our wants and desires, and we have our passions. And most importantly, we have the thing that makes us human, our reason. Reason is our capacity to think deeply about grand questions and to communicate with each other using language. Plato also thought that the only way to strengthen reason and to thus become a better human in every respect was through learning. Not just learning as a teenager, not just learning through reading books, not just learning in order to do a particular task, but instead treating every day of your life as an opportunity to learn something new, not only about the world around you, but about yourself. I am sure you have all heard the cliche of treating learning as a lifelong pursuit many, many times. Well, I think the challenges we are facing right now are unlike any we have seen before. And they require the sort of ongoing learning and fresh thinking that I know every girl in this room is capable of. And what are those challenges? Let us all ask ourselves the question, how much time do we spend on social media every day? How many times do you find yourself scrolling through Instagram and Facebook, even opening them up and closing them a few seconds later? More than just the time we spend on these apps, they're actually changing the way we think and behave. I'm not convinced it's for the better. When we get a like on Instagram, it spikes our brain's reward system in a very primitive way. We feel like we've achieved a goal or done something really worthwhile. Social media companies know this, and they're spending tens of millions of dollars every year enticing us to take even more selfies. To that end, what are the implications of a society that maniacally takes photos of itself? Is self-absorption natural? Is it a desired trait? Will it lead to the good life? Recently, I asked my son, who was about to graduate from a 4-year college degree in USA, what were your biggest challenges? And I wasn't expecting his answer. Bed bugs and compulsive distraction. We were told all throughout school how dangerous drugs are. No one told us that the most addictive things in the world were the screens we have to use every day. The fact that they are so completely integrated into our schooling and social lives means we can't escape however much we want or need to. This led me to ask, is my smartphone making me smarter? And to start thinking about addictive technology as a serious issue. We are all aware of the research linking screen time with increased anxiety and depression. When you think about it, our screens have turned us into not more than junk food, immediately satisfying, but ultimately leaving us sick, sad, and craving more. I find that analogy useful because it acknowledges that, like food, we can't just stop using technology altogether, and we don't want to. We all, educators, parents, students, face a much more difficult task. Integrating something both miraculous and perilously dangerous into the pursuit of a good life in a moderate, sustainable and enriching way. This is just the same as having to make a conscious decision to feed our bodies nutritiously, despite the easy access and marketing power of junk food. Although learning is now arguably easier than ever, after all, you have the entirety of human knowledge in your pocket, maintaining the discipline to learn is harder than ever. I spent a great deal of my childhood hiding under my bed to escape my 6 siblings and reading voraciously in blissful peace. I got the greatest education I could have ever wished for, from what I later understood was the Western canon: Shakespeare, Charlotte Bronte, Virginia Woolf, Walt Whitman, Jules Verne. And although reading these great books took hours and quite some effort to get into, The rewards were unparalleled. I learned a new vocabulary, expanded my imagination and creativity, but most importantly, fed an appetite to learn more, read more, know more, engage more, and become more human. So what have I said so far? I have said that if we are all trying to live the good life, I think that education is the most certain way to get there. I have also said that education and learning is a hard-fought battle against temptation and the easy path. But if we are brave enough to take on the challenge, there are endless treasures for us. We are at risk of losing the practice of deep contemplative reading and hence developing the critical skills of analogical reasoning, empathy, and judicious analysis. We are at risk of compromising our skills of reason that we develop through reading, right at a time when researchers across all disciplines are stressing the importance of narrative and intertextuality. My point is, the summer lies ahead, and it really would be a great loss if we did not lift our heads to see the clouds, hear the birds, read great works of literature, and lose ourselves deep in our imagination. I have not given up hope that Jane Eyre and Instagram can coexist. To our 54 Woodford House graduates, whom we will farewell this morning, Nunc acceptabile tempus, now is the acceptable time. You are all outstanding, and we are so very, very proud of you. To our Year 12 girls, we now pass on the mantle of leadership, and I have every confidence that you will be outstanding role models for the girls in 2019. In the year of our 125th school anniversary, as the senior students of the school, you will have numerous opportunities to give service and leadership to others, and I will confidently ask that of each and every one of you. To our Woodford House community, thank you for your support. My very, very best wishes to you all for a happy and blessed Christmas. God bless Ngā mihi nui.